Hi, my name is Roy. I'm the head of product at Upsolver. Today I'm really excited to show you a new release of our Upsolver Python SDK. If you don't know, Upsolver is a data platform that lets you build data pipelines using SQL. So integrating with Python or having an SDK for you to automate your pipeline creation and testing makes it super simple to build and test pipelines. So let's take a look at how to do that. All right, first thing first, you got to install the SDK. I already have it installed, so very quick to go through that. Let's bring up an interpreter. And there's Python for that. Awesome. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste some, some imports and a couple configuration to make the UI a little bit easier to work with. All right, cool. So now we have that. The next thing we want to do is we want to actually import the Upsolver SDK, create a connection, and also create a cursor. So because Upsolver, you interact with it using SQL, having a cursor interface like a database makes it very easy. So if you wanted to execute multiple queries within a single transaction, you can do it easily with this cursor. All right, so for this purpose of the demo, we'll just build a very simple pipeline that brings data, some raw data from S3 in JSON format and writes it into a managed table inside of your data lake. So first thing first, we have to create a table. So in this case, it's just a simple test table. I don't define any schemas because I want it to be auto-detected by Upsolver for me. The next thing is I'm going to create a job. Let's paste that in. Very simple. So in this case, I'm creating a synchronized job. So I only have one job in this particular example, but if I had multiple jobs, this would make it easy for the jobs to actually be synchronized automatically by Upsolver. So there's no orchestration, there's no airflow, there's no DAGs to create. Upsolver creates all of that for you automatically. So if, for example, one jobs in a pipeline stops, the other jobs within a pipeline stop as well because there's no data flowing through. Also, we are reading data from S3, particular samples location of in S3, and then we're writing the data into the test table that we just created. Okay, so let's switch into pandas and actually run a SQL query and see if there's any data in it. Usually it takes a couple minutes, like a minute or so to get started for data to flow, but let's just test it out quickly. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any data yet, but we do have some columns. You can see there's an event date, there's a commit time. Those are additional metadata columns that Upsolver automatically inserts into your table to make it easy for you to understand when is data arriving, when is it getting committed to your target system, and things like that. So the commit time, for example, is a really nice way when you're building incremental models in dbt and Snowflake to handle late arriving events because the commit time is an incremental commit time basically for those tables, and you can use that instead of some random timestamp inside of your data. So let's see if any data is here yet. All right, so now we have a bunch of data. I'm only listing a little bit, but you can see it's a pretty robust table. There's a bunch of nested fields with some arrays in it. So I was able to kind of pull it together. So that's pretty much it. Like in this case, we just created a table in our data lake. We created a job that ingests raw data and loads it into your data lake. And that's it. You can actually start using it. Now, as a bonus, what I wanted to show is in Upsolver, we actually also have these system tables, information schemas, that gives us a lot of information about what is going on with the system and our tables. So the first thing I wanted to do is, as a user, I wanted to understand who created this test table. Obviously, I created it, but let's just assume I don't know who it is, but I want to look at it. So I can actually run a query against a system table. So let's go take a look at that. So select star from system.information schema.tables, right, where the name of the table is going to be test, right? And we have to set a connection. Okay, now let's run that. Okay, now we can check it. And we can see that this test table was created on the 17th of April, around this time. And then we know who the owner is, right? This is me in this case. And there's some properties, right? This is a nested field that tells me all the different properties of that particular table, if compression is enabled, if it's partitioned, if it has a primary key, so I can understand kind of the table itself. Now, another thing I wanted to know is I want to know if that table is changing, if there's new data coming in, if there's any changes to the schema. So I do it by actually executing a similar query against the columns table. Right, so very similar. In this case, this is value is table. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now let's take a look at that. Awesome. So now we can see there's actually a lot more fields in this, but you can see that we actually call out the top level fields, the nested fields. You can see what data type they have. In this case, still strings. You can see whether they're being used as primary keys or not. And actually, more interesting is this first scene and last scene. And these are timestamps that basically capture when a new column is seen or when a column no longer has data in it, right? We have not seen any data coming in for that column. In that particular case, it could have been deleted upstream, or maybe there's a glitch in the data and no data is coming. So those are indications for you to say, hey, a schema changed, a new column was added. Oh, hey, this particular column has now received data for a long time. I need to check why that's happening. So this is just a couple examples of how to use the information schema to test and validate your pipelines and your data sets all through a Python SDK. So with that said, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. You can go to our GitHub page right here to get started. And if you wanted to go check out Upsolver, go to upsolver.com. Thank you so much.